Other kinds of things that you've done, like board relations and annual reports. I know that that's a really important postcard for the community. What goes into the creation of the annual report? I imagine it's not a one-woman job, but...
No. Well, I think the first thought of an annual report, or first goal, is to present factual information about the nonprofit. So, that's financial, numbers of people served, outcomes. And so we gather all that data and then put it in a format that we think people will be interested in and learn from, because accountants are very interested in financials, but most of the rest of the world isn't too interested in reading long pages of financials. So figuring out whether you use pie charts or how you convey graphs, narrative, and again, snippets as opposed to complete sentences. Sometimes, although I really like bullet points where there's a sentence that started it out. And also, we have such diversity in the generations who we relate to that what someone who's 80 may like in an annual report is not what someone who's 25 may be interested in. So thinking about what's our target audience is also really important. And sometimes the information we put together, we're looking for new audiences, and other times we're wanting to retain and thank the audiences that we've had for a long time. So there's kind of a balance of that. We also, now in the annual report, of course, we report on the previous year. And so a thank you, acknowledging the donors that have participated, and the volunteers. But most of the other information, we really try to be futuristic and not, people aren't too interested in reading about the history. So they're not as interested, like we're working on a newsletter now. And they're not really too interested in how Yuletide was. I mean, they hope it was good, but they're not interested in how many vendors we had or how many people came to lunch. They're more interested in the Thanksgiving luncheon we're going to have for the families at the Child Care Center, or the Racial Justice Forum that we're going to have in January. So being futuristic, when I say futuristic, but future-oriented in the information we convey is, we think, important.
Yeah. Do you begin with like a format, like the previous year's format, or do you kind of build every time from scratch? Or
we usually begin, if we like the format, we begin with it and then tweak it a little bit. But sometimes we think, oh, this is really just dated, it's old. Another struggle we have is that matte paper and Times Roman font look poorer and needier than shiny paper and Arial font to the general public. I mean, watch when you get annual reports and things at home or asks for money. The ones that are all slick and fancy don't have the same appeal as far as being really needy as the ones that look like they reused the paper. So those are some. Now, we don't do the reused paper, but sometimes some of the slickest information is the biggest turnoff to donors or potential donors.
So you don't want to be too slick, huh?
No.